Chapter 16. Adventurous Spirit. Are you adventurous? An adventure is an exciting or unusual experience. It may also be a risky undertaking with an uncertain outcome. Adventures may also be activities involving physical danger, such as skydiving, mountain climbing, river rafting, or any other extreme sports. Have you ever visited a mountainous place? How is the environment there? Mountains. A mountain is an elevated landform above the surrounding land in an area. Mountains are made of rocks and soil. High elevations on mountains produce colder climates than at sea level. Some mountain tops are always covered with snow. Mountains usually have steep, sloping sides and sharp or slightly rounded ridges and peaks. The Himalayas, the Karakoram, the Hindu Kush, the Andes and the Alps are a few examples of high mountain ranges in the world. The world's highest mountain peak is Mount Everest in Nepal, whose summit is 8,848 meters above the mean sea level. It is a part of the Himalayan range. Have you ever thought of climbing mountains? Mountain climbing could be a great adventure, but it can be highly dangerous too. A climber can get overwhelmed by rough weather, terrain, ice or other dangers of the mountain. Despite all the dangers, mountain climbing is an exciting, exhilarating and rewarding experience. Do you know people who have climbed very high peaks of mountains? How do you think they were able to make such trips? Mountaineering. Mount Everest had long been considered unclimbable by some. But it was also the ultimate climbing challenge for many others. Before Tenzing and Hillary, many mountaineers made attempts to climb up Everest, but failed. Not only this, two British mountaineers died in their expedition to the summit of Mount Everest. Quite a few were forced to turn back after bad weather set in. Climbers suffer from frost bites due to the freezing weather. Long falls from cliffs into deep crevasses could be the obvious danger. Climbers of Mount Everest often suffer from mountain sickness caused by the absence of oxygen due to the extreme high altitude. To prevent the acute symptoms of altitude sickness, climbers spend a lot of their time slowly acclimatizing their bodies to the increasingly high altitudes. Hence, mountaineering must be practiced and one has to undergo rigorous training before expedition. Conquerors of Mount Everest. Sir Edmund Hillary and Tenzing Norgay together were the first to scale Mount Everest. They were part of the British Everest expedition, 1953, led by Colonel John Hunt. Among the 11 chosen climbers, Edmund Hillary was from New Zealand and Tenzing Norgay was a Nepalese Sherpa. After months of planning and organizing, the expedition began. On their way up the mountain top, the team established 9 camps, some of which are still used by climbers today. On 29 May 1953, Edmund Hillary and Tenzing Norgay reached the summit of Mount Everest. Bachendri Pal became the first Indian woman to reach the summit of Mount Everest in 1984. She got her first taste of mountaineering thrill at the age of 12, when she, along with her friends, scaled a 3,999.9 m high peak during a school picnic. After summiting a number of smaller peaks, she achieved this by strong determination and courage. She had undergone rigorous training for this. Equipment, tools and items for mountaineering. What to pack. There are some mountaineering tools you just can't do without. Here are a few. Footwear. Common footwear on climbing expeditions are double boots with a hard plastic shell and softer insulating liner. Some mountaineers choose to climb in ski boots to facilitate a ski descent. The one real requirement for mountaineering footwear, besides keeping the feet warm and dry, is that they must have rigid soles to accommodate crampons. Crampons. Crampons are small plates of metal set with spikes. They are fastened to the foot to give a better grip while walking on the ice. Ropes. Rope diameters typically range from about 7.6 millimeters to more than 10 millimeters. Slender ropes may be used singly or in pairs. Belay device. Belay devices are mechanical pieces of climbing equipment used to control a rope during belaying. Its essential purpose is to apply friction to the rope to stop a climber's fall. Harness. A harness secures a person to a rope or an anchor point. In its simplest form, a harness can be made from a length of rope or nylon being tied around the waist. Expeditions and adventures. Today, mountaineering in the Himalayas has flourished at a tremendous pace. Every year, a few thousand people graduate from various Indian mountaineering institutes. Their aim is to either set a career in the sport or simply scale the high peaks in the Himalayas. Every year, alpine or non-alpine mountaineering expeditions are attempted on peaks. These institutes have given opportunities for mountaineers from around the world to scale virgin peaks and inscribe their name in the books of mountaineering history for their ascents. Some other adventurous activities: trekking, skiing, gliding and parasailing are a few more adventure sports and hobbies associated with the mountains. A trek is a long, adventurous journey undertaken on foot. It is done mainly in areas where common means of transport are not available. The Himalayan routes are famous for attracting a large number of trekkers. In India, Kashmir Valley holds the best trekking routes in the world. People enjoy trekking for adventure and to enjoy fresh air, natural beauty and solitude. Skiing is a recreational activity or mountain sport that involves moving over snow by using skis. Skis are a pair of long, flat runners that are attached to shoes or boots. The participant attaches skis to boots or shoes and uses them to travel on the snow. It is also a competitive sport. Gliding is a recreational activity and competitive air sport. In this, pilots fly unpowered aircraft known as gliders or sailplanes using naturally occurring currents of rising air in the atmosphere to remain airborne. Parasailing is an activity involving a parachute and a boat. A person is attached to a parachute and then tied to a motorboat, which drives off, getting and keeping the person off the ground. It is considered as a hobby rather than a sport by many people. The person on the parachute has no control over movement and speed and therefore is simply a passenger. Word bank. Crampons, small plates of metal set with spikes. They are fastened with foot to give a better grip while walking on the ice. Trekking, a long, adventurous journey undertaken on foot. Skiing, a recreational activity or mountain sport that involves moving over snow by using skis. Skis, a pair of long, flat runners that are attached to shoes or boots. Gliding, a recreational activity in which pilots fly unpowered aircraft known as gliders or sailplanes using naturally occurring currents of rising air in the atmosphere to remain airborne. Parasailing, a sport in which a person is attached to a parachute and then tied to a motorboat, which drives off, getting and keeping the person off the ground. In a nutshell, mountains are elevated landforms above the surrounding land in an area. Mountaineering is a sport that requires a lot of preparation and practice to ensure an adventurous and safe climb. Sir Edmund Hillary and Tenzing Norgay were the first to scale Mount Everest. Bachendri Pal is the first Indian woman to climb Mount Everest. Some other adventurous mountain activities and sports are trekking, skiing, gliding and parasailing.